The Old West was a land of lawlessness and ambition, a sprawling frontier where lawmen and outlaws fought for dominance in towns as dusty as the dreams of those who wandered them. But not every outlaw met their fate in a hail of bullets or lived their lives running from a sheriff's badge. Some left behind stranger tales, bizarre crimes, curious motivations, and legacies so twisted they became immortal legends. Let's start with Black Bart, the poetic bandit. Now, most outlaws didn't bother with flair. It was horse, pistol, money, and gone. But Bart's idea of a stagecoach robbery wasn't complete without poetry. Masked and armed with just a shotgun, Bart would approach unsuspecting stagecoaches, often with an eerie politeness. He was respectful. He rarely hurt anyone, yet would leave behind cryptic rhymes scrawled on scraps of paper, taunting both authorities and his victims. Bart was eventually caught, but even behind bars, it was his strange charm and his haunting rhymes that captured the imagination of the public more than his crimes ever could. Then there's the tale of Pearl Hart, the bandit queen of Arizona. Pearl wasn't your typical outlaw, and her story stands out for all the wrong reasons. Disguised as a man, she and her partner staged one of the few recorded stagecoach robberies led by a woman in the West. But what makes Pearl's story truly bizarre isn't the act itself, it's her behavior afterward. When arrested and sent to trial, Pearl gave an impassioned speech defending her crime as an act of survival, claiming societal oppression had forced her into thievery. Amazingly, her speech worked. The jury was so moved by her plea that Pearl was acquitted. But outrage from the governor quickly reversed the verdict, sending her into prison, only for Pearl to escape months later. She disappeared into history, leaving behind questions. Was she a cunning outlaw or an accidental feminist icon? Then came Elmer McCurdy, the outlaw who wouldn't die. McCurdy was a small-time crook, a train robber known more for failure than success. In one botched heist, he managed to steal just a few bucks and some whiskey before being gunned down by lawmen. But while McCurdy's life as an outlaw was unremarkable, his corpse's afterlife was downright absurd. After being embalmed by a mortician, McCurdy's body became a sideshow attraction, sold and passed between carnival owners. For decades, his mummified remains popped up in amusement parks, theaters, and grisly museum exhibits. In fact, McCurdy's career as a novelty attraction lasted longer than his life as a criminal. He was finally buried in the 1970s, closing one of the strangest chapters in outlaw history. And of course, there's the Bloody Espinosas, a family of revenge-driven killers whose story is steeped in blood and mystery. In the mid-1800s, Felipe and Vivian Espinosa blazed a terrifying trail across Colorado, killing more than 30 people in a spree fueled by vengeance. Claiming that American settlers had wronged their kin and stolen their land, the brothers struck fear into the hearts of everyone in the region. But their killings weren't random. They collected trophies, sometimes hearts taken fresh from their victims, wrapped in cloth, and offered like grotesque vengeance to a ghost no one else could see. Both brothers met their end at the hands of a determined lawman, yet whispers of their rampage still haunt the Colorado wilderness. Were they killers, avengers, or something darker? Stories of these strange outlaws remind us that the Old West wasn't just a battleground of good and evil. It was a crucible of personalities, a stage for the weird, the mysterious, and the downright macabre. And in this history, where fact and legend often blurred, one thing remains certain. The tales of these twisted figures refuse to die, much like Elmer McCurdy himself. The stories of these strange outlaws remind us that the Old West wasn't just a battleground of good and evil. It was a crucible of personalities, a stage for the weird, the mysterious, and the downright macabre. And in this history, where fact and legend often blurred,